Greetings, dear listeners. This is a podcast live COMETSA Podcasting Network, a member of COMETSA Global Online Channels, the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. The show is our monthly Coaches Learning Forum show. It is based on our principle of the idea. We inform and entertain. We develop and educate. We empower and support. We associate and network. That is the idea. We have coaches that have been lined up to take us through various coaching models. And we are doing this in the next couple of weeks, starting with the first one today. And the guest in the studio is going to be Coach Christa, Hendrikz, and Coach Ramabaka, Tshimole. I'm just waiting for them to join me in the studio. We have enough time to focus on a particular model, and they will also spend time telling you a bit about themselves, the journey that they are embarking on in terms of coaching, and of course, what they are learning as they are going through the models. I want to welcome Christa. Christa, are you in the studio already, or are you still logging in? I've also just sent the invite to Ramabaka to join us. Christa, you are now a speaker in terms of my information here, so I look forward to welcome. Are you there?
Yes, Sam. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm trying to end this because I'm stuck on the one side of the studio. I need to be able to see the studio so that I can see everybody there. And my system is hanging a little bit, but I'll soon get that right. I'm just sending invites to Ramabaka, and then we will very soon be studying. Let me just invite. How are you so far, Christa? How has been your day?
I'm good, thanks. It's been busy, but good, thanks. And yours?
It's been quite well. It's been quite well. Are you on a headphones, or are you talking straight into your phone?
Straight. Should I use headphones?
Not necessarily. I'm just wanting to connect mine. Just let one moment. See if I can connect my headphones. It's better with the head. Great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So it looks like my headphones are not connected. Let me just sort that out. That's technology for you. Now it is connected. I should be able to, but I can go without the headphones. It's also okay, right?
Yes, you can speak to me anyway. It's
connected. I'm talking to you from my headphones, which is excellent. If you can hear me very well, that means our guests can hear us very well.
Yes, I can hear very well.
Yeah, great. I need to inform our guests that This is session 1 of the 10 sessions that we have packed together in the months of September, October, and November to go through the coaching models that you introduced or we introduced during our live podcast of last month. So you are the first one, Christa, you and Ramabaka, to kick off this series.
Great stuff.
Yeah, no, I think early bird catches the fattest worm. You are warming up everybody else that is going to be joining this series, and I'm sure you're going to set the standards. But this is different to last time. We are going to be in a conversation. We are going to be exploring one particular model, and we are going to engage with our listeners much more because we have enough time. This is the coaches learning forum, and therefore the idea is to learn from each other. There is no judging, there is no right or wrong, there's only what one knows. You agree?
I agree, Sam, yes.
Yeah. And I think for the benefit of our listeners, we want to inform them that this comes out of our online coaching course, and we are already at module number 5, and we will be doing module or chapter 6 next month, covering the entire course. But we have the opportunity to open another online classroom for next year to go back and really go into details of the 6 chapters, because we feel this year we joined at different times, and therefore we are not at the same level of knowledge and same level of understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to mention as we are kickstarting this series, that we haven't lost much. We are going to be coming back. Now, Christa, perhaps before I start with some background information, I will want you to just say a few words in the form of greeting the listeners, and then allow me to catch up or give a reflection on the previous session, and then a little bit of a background to what we understand by coaching models. And then I will give you enough time to share with us what you have been researching about this model and what you personally have learned. Is that okay? Just a few words to the listeners.
That's good. Thank you, Sam. And thank you for the opportunity to again speak on the STAR model. Thank you to everyone listening in. Yes, I've been in sales for decades and management. And these methods, especially the STAR method, I've used it before and I've seen it done. Although I was unaware that it actually had a name until when you mentioned the show and you suggested the method for the show. I had to do some research on it. And I didn't get to that part of the course as yet. But what I realized with the STAR model is a very unique model which can be used for different results. And I hope to be able to give you some new information regarding this on a new, a fresh point of view.
Beautiful. We're looking forward to that. And as I said, there's no right or wrong. It depends how one unpacks these things. And then hopefully others will also share with us what their experience has been as they investigate the model. Remember, we published it. We invited everybody to also do a little bit of reading about it so that we can be aligned as we go through the series. I'm hearing myself. Are you listening? Ramabaka, welcome. At the same time, mute yourself because it seems feedback, and I'll just give you a few minutes, a few seconds to greet the listeners. Welcome. Just a way of giving background, also just inform the listeners the models that we are going to be covering. We're starting with the STAR model. We will be covering also change coaching model. We will be covering OSCAR coaching model, OSKAR. The GROW model, we're going to go a little bit deeper on that. Everybody else knows GROW model. We will look at Achieve model. We'll look at the CLEAR model, the FUEL model, performance coaching model, and appreciative coaching model. Those are the models that we are going to be covering. And as I indicated, that this is our coaches learning forum. So we are not under pressure. We are all learning, and we are definitely going to teach each other and learn from each other. I'm very excited about it, Christa and Ramabaka, that we now have provided up to a maximum of 2 hours for every one of these models, so that when we finish, we will take home something that we can go and start doing some work and using it and applying it in our coaching. Let me welcome officially Coach Ramabaka Tshimole to say a few words of greetings to the listeners. And as I said, I will then take you through some background on the coaching models and then allow each one of you to make your inputs. We are not going to be talking interchangeably. I will start with Christa to give us her insight, and then with Ramabaka, and then we will then sum it up through questions and answers towards the end, and also responding to some chats from the chat box by our listeners. Over to you, Ramabaka. 1 minute of greetings to the listeners.
Good evening, Brasam and Christa, and to our followers, our listeners. Yes, I'm excited to join this session. My name is Ramabaka Abel Tshimole, a coach passionate about entrepreneurship, about strategy, about governance, and about unlocking the capacity of every single individual and professionals to ensure that they are able to succeed. And that's why tonight we should be able to enlighten you about the power of the STAR coaching model as to the benefits and in what areas of life it can be applied by leaders who are new in the positions and even seasoned leaders, as it's quite a very communicable coaching model that can benefit everybody and assist in growing those that are in your team. Thanks, Prasam.
Thank you, Ramabaka. Thank you very much for those opening remarks. I'm excited that we are all here and we are about to start. I thought I should kickstart this conversation by sharing with you, the listeners, a book that I use a lot whenever I refresh myself on coaching models. It's a very, very well-written book by Diane Leonard. Diane spelled D-I-A-N-E, and Leonard is L-E-N-N-A-R-D. And the book is published by Routledge, Taylor and Francis Group, New York and London. The title of the book is Coaching Models, a Cultural Perspective.
a guide to model development for practitioners and students of coaching. Not a big book, but very, very, very helpful and covering a lot of aspects elements that you need to know of should you be interested in developing your own coaching model. And I thought I should start by sharing with you some of snippets from the preface to this book. The preface itself will just make you want to finish the whole entire book. She says that this book is about you, the coach. It is about your purpose for coaching, your process, and your unique contribution to the field of coaching. I like that last part, your unique contribution to the field of coaching, which normally we call it your perspective. In other words, what do you bring to coaching? That already says to us that as coaches, we are not passive in the business of coaching. We bring ourselves to the coaching table where we meet with our clients. And she talks about it is your purpose, which is what we are all about, and then the process, and then, of course, what you bring in. And then she goes further to say that it is about developing and refining your own model of coaching. This is good news, Christa and Ramabaka. It is about developing and refining your own model of coaching. Whether you are a new or experienced practitioner or a manager who coaches employees. So if ever you were very intimidated by this concept of model, just be happy to know that every one of us is expected or has a right to have their own model, and there's no right or wrong. How do you feel about that, Ramabaka? Yeah, Christa.
Well, that's quite exciting because it provides flexibility. A coach can be agile to determine which coaching model suits his style and suits his purpose, especially after some time when you have assessed the kind of clients that you deal with. Then you are able to define and refine your particular model that you can adopt for every client that you need to assist. And definitely, it's good to go that it's not rocket science that you have to follow this particular model, but you can decide and find other ways to still add value in somebody's development.
Yes. The emphasis is you have your own model. I think that is we're going to come back to that because these models that we are discussing, including the STAR model, were developed by other coaches, which means we must also develop our own coaches if we feel we can't adopt any model. And then she says that in this book, you will review coaching concepts and theories that are fundamental to understanding coaching models. I think it's for this reason for me that I want to share this book with you because I haven't seen so many books around coaching model. I've read chapters on coaching models from coaching books, but this particular book is dedicated to those of us who want to develop our own coaching models, even to understand other people's coaching models. And she says that you will read about coaching concepts and theories that will be fundamental to understanding coaching models so that you can develop your own. Then you can explore strategies for developing personalized coaching model. My coaching model is called the mind, the journey, the destiny, and the details of my model is in the journey, which is the process. And I think I always say to people, there are three pillars that you need to understand in coaching. One is the purpose. What are you coaching for? the process, what is your process that you follow for coaching? And then thirdly, the perspective, which is what she's talking about. What are you bringing into the coaching? So if you are a new student of coaching, you should understand that it's expected that you are not going to be given everything. You bring yourself, your experience, your perspective into the coaching. Already 50% of your coaching is what you bring with. As Christa has mentioned, that she has been doing this in a sales environment, but she didn't know that it was this star model. Now that she knows, she went and researched it and to understand it better. So you can imagine, Christa, after reading this book, hopefully you'll get it for yourself. You will then even go deeper to understanding what are the fundamental, what are the coaching concepts and theories that one must know so that one is able to develop their own coaching model. So we could almost have a bit of a competition and say by the end of 2023, we want to see all of us models and see if it meets the coaching concepts and theories. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Yeah. And we will refer to this book, yeah? Coach Ramabaka.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. So I want to take my time because I find the book very helpful, because you might have asked yourself, where do I get resources to help myself develop coaching model? It's not enough to learn coaching only, but you must learn about coaching models. And I think that's why we are doing this 10 series, to present other people's models, so that at the end we could be able to develop our own models that we feel we can take our coaching with forward. And then she says that reflective activities in this book will heighten your awareness of the influences on your approaches to coaching and personal strengths you can incorporate into your model. Case examples are being used. I looked through it. There are some cases that are being used here that actually demonstrate how coaches can develop personalized models that turns their experiences, skills, and interests into authentic strategies to support the people they coach. So that's really resourceful indeed. And then the last bit, she says that the coach, and I like this one because this is almost like a mentoring type of input for any coach. The coach is an integral part of the coaching process, as important as the client, yet often overlooked. So she's saying that as a coach coaching a client, you yourself are integral part of that coaching process. Basically, it speaks to the saying that as a coach, you have to be fully present because you are part of that. And she emphasized here and say, while an understanding of the needs of clients and employees is essential, equally important is the need to reflect on the personal values, strengths, and paradigms that inform your approach to coaching. So you can see that you yourself are critical indeed. And then she says, just as no two clients are alike, no two coaches or coaching approaches are exactly the same. Here's another assurance for us, that no two coaches or coaching approaches are the same. So don't try and mimic any other coach because it will not work. That's why we are embarking on this journey to developing ourselves to understand these concepts and fundamentals so that we can evolve on our own with our own style and to become truly the coaches we are. And this again, as I said, for those who have just joined coaching and they were very intimidated, there's no need. We still want to hear your style that will evolve as a result of this series of sessions that we're holding. And I can talk from my own personal experience that this really speaks to me regarding in relation to my current project of writing a book, which is basically about my perspective and what I bring to coaching and mentoring. And my book is, I'm halfway with my book. It will be released. It will be published by Amazon on the 31st of March, 2023. And it is titled holistic career development, coaching and mentorship perspective, the insights from my personal and professional development journey, where I'm using my own experience to inform my coaching practice, and hopefully my clients, fellow coaches and stakeholders can learn from it and understand me much better, because they will have read about my own journey, my own perspective, as Diane said in this book, that it is important that you know what you bring to coaching yourself and don't mimic anybody. So yeah, so that's really a little bit of a background to this topic today. And I want to then, before Christa come in, share the definition of coaching she has shared within the book. She says, of a model. She says, a model is an intellectual device that highlights the key elements of a process and their interrelationships. It can be virtual and verbal. A model includes whatever elements the developer considered most essential and eliminates others. It does not replicate every detail of a process, event, or phenomenon. Thank you. I will stop there and then hand over to Christa. This is your moment, Coach Christa and Coach Ramabaka. Mine was just to give that context so that people understand why we see the importance of really understanding the coaching models. Over to you, Christa, to take us through the insights that you have developed as you were researching the STAR model. And we will give Ramabaka a chance later.
Thank you, Sam. So I researched a few models, and there's quite a few out there that can be used very effectively in business as well as life coaching or in life. The STAR model breaks down any problems or matters that there might be into smaller parts and is effective in any 5 to 45-minute sessions. And you'll be able to identify strengths and weaknesses in a simple, cost-effective way. So it's important to note that a good coach does not provide advice or give solutions, but simply guide the employee to construct solid, attainable goals. The leader is forced to step back, and the employee, that's on the STAR model. You step back and the employee provide the feedback, as you, as the leader, need to help the people you coach to think and do for self and use their own initiative. And this also provides a basis for valuable conversation and discussion, and then work through those issues in a more relaxed atmosphere. And it also tends to provide more successful constructive feedback that the employee will confidently recognize and trust to follow. A leader may utilize the model to go above just lead, delegate, and motivate, as in guiding employees, identifying goals, and creating an actionable plan collaboratively. So according to GARMAN Business Coaching, the STAR model tool is intended for business leaders, and it's particularly useful to those new to the leadership role that are looking to improve their problem-solving and stress management skills. However, anyone in leadership can benefit from the model, as David Bonham Carter came up with this method that is rooted in the cognitive behavioural therapy that's highly effective to help someone get rid of damaging or limiting thoughts and behaviours. And then the same methods used before is not as effective any longer, as leaders are working now with teams remotely, even globally, which causes more stress and brings more problems to solve than before. So the acronyms for STAR stands for S, situation, T for task, A for action, and R for result. So the first step will be to describe a particular situation or task that was appointed to the employee and that is important to be specific to ensure the feedback session provides results. For example, specifically state, for example, we received a customer complaint about bad service, and then ask the employee what he knows about the situation and how it makes them feel to hear of that. Then you discuss the action the employee took, whether positive or negative. Again, it's important to be specific as possible. For example, calm the customer down by listening and offering compensation, as this clearly highlights what actions were taken and can therefore assist employees in the future, and they can understand how to correct a mistake or will be aware of how they did the right thing if a positive action was taken. The result stage is where you describe in detail the direct result of the action. For example, having calmed the customer down and customer is happy with compensation. Or should any employee maybe come to you for a session and he wants to speak to you, you can start off by asking him what he wants to speak to you about, where he wants to start that day, or any specific situation that he is thinking of at that moment that he might have a problem with. Then you ask him all the things that he mentioned, of all those things he mentioned at that stage. What is the one or two things that he wants to do first? Once he decided wants to do first, what he wants to focus on first, then you can ask him what the activities or the actions is that he needs to put in place for that to come to fruition for him or for him and his team, and also business, and to scale it down to ask what's the first step that he needs to take when he leaves the session. So as the result phase, you can ask what the impact will be on him and his team with the action that he takes. So when offering effective evaluation, you need to focus on an employee's behavior rather than on their personality traits, what they do instead of what they are like, as you don't want to offend or bully any staff members by directly criticizing their personality and causing an additional issue that could have be avoided and damage your relationship with the employee. Any employee feedback has the greatest impact on performance immediately following an event, as issues left unresolved can escalate and cause a domino effect. So it's important not to wait because further issues can be avoided in that way. Daily, weekly feedback ensures that the information provided remains valuable and can be acted upon, and should always be given privately, even if it's positive, as some employees do not wish to be the center of attention. By saving feedback for a private session, you'll be offering the employee the opportunity to reflect and process the conversation, and it will make both of you more comfortable. Opening up a discussion shows you respect and value your employee, especially as feedback can be a vulnerable topic, and you don't want to lecture somebody about how you think they need to improve. So let the receiver respond to your feedback and allow them to ask follow-up questions. The two of you can then work together to create a solution or course of action that you both feel happy with once the issue is clear. So if you, for example, picture a star with 6 points, each point in the star represents a step in the coaching model, wherein the manager and the employee each have 3 separate roles that allow them to collaborate and ensure a productive outcome. The manager's roles are engagement, where you engage with the employee by creating a trusting relationship and rapport, and establishes this trust by informing the employee that their conversations are confidential, and by asking open-ended questions and employing effective listening skills. And then he guides the employee based on these conversations to self-awareness and actualization. The roles of the employees are change and commitment to the coaching process, as the employee must have a desire to change and be committed to the coaching process, or the coaching conversation proves unproductive and pointless. The third role for the manager is action, and for the employee it's to analyze his or her values and beliefs about the coaching topic, and together they can collaborate to identify the employee's goals and create an action plan to achieve them that matches their beliefs and values. So feedback sessions should be scheduled daily, weekly, or monthly instead of only a one-time thing, as feedback and evaluation is tough and it requires a lot of thought and energy to be done correctly. Notice and celebrate improvement that is made, which will show the employee that you care about their development and may motivate them, which could also boost your business's productivity levels. The model has a few drawbacks, such as requirement that the employee commit to change upfront, the need for a manager to prompt the employee before he or she will act, because the roles are static and follow a quid pro quo, and the lack of managerial follow-up. But these can be overturned by engaging with the employee in the correct manner to build trust, by encouraging the employee to use initiative, and by asking how the manager will know that the employee did what he said he wanted to do, or make sure to follow up by scheduling regular sessions after. There are also many pros in the model, as it ensures that the employee is willing to change prior to entering into the coaching conversation and encourages trust and defines roles and responsibilities. Managerial coaching helps an employee to identify goals and create an action plan, and the STAR coaching model, offers a foundation for coaching. So the employee feedback is a necessary part of growth and development, but it can be difficult, and therefore it can be wise to employ the use of a proven coaching model such as STAR to effectively deliver constructive, valuable feedback, and is especially useful to focus on specific actions or challenges that have been faced by the employee, highlighting the important aspects of this experience. As a result, this will lead to a more collaborative, communicative, and higher performing company culture, and you will be able to identify strengths and weaknesses in a simple, cost-effective way. Then, of course, you can also use the STAR model during interviews. If you interview people for positions at your company, you can use it in organization design. You can use it in team building, and then, for example, coaching. And that's just a few of them. And I also want to thank you for the opportunity.
Are you done, Christa?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Yeah, you will say something? Sorry.
No, I just want to again thank you for the opportunity to go through this model again.
Did you have enough time to understand it much better this time?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, wonderful,
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Great stuff. Colleagues that are on the line, if you don't mind just sending the link to George, Coach George wants to join, and he asked me to send him the link. If you don't mind, just forward the link to him on his WhatsApp so that he can join. Yeah, I have some questions for clarity, but I think I'm going to allow Ramabaka to come in. Maybe he will add more clarification to some of the points you've raised, and then we will go back and unpack it together, especially the STAR design. I love that design. It says every point of the design represents a particular action for both the coach and the coachee. I really like it. I don't know how did that sit with you when you were going through the model?
Well, when I went through all of them, you can actually understand how it works. As I say, there is a few drawbacks in that design, but it's the drawbacks is not nearly as much as the benefits, and you can also turn it over by stepping in that situations as well.
Great. Coach Ramabaka, over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Brother Sam, and thanks to my co-pilot, Christa, for that incisive introduction and insights into the module. And some of the key points that I would want to point out is that the STAR coaching model provides a structured positive communication tool whereby the manager or the leader and the employee, the coach and the coachee can be able to find each other, and it provides a seamless approach to communication whereby the employee or the coachee wouldn't feel intimidated, wouldn't feel threatened, and therefore, as a coach, when you sit down with your coachee or when you are a leader, because this is more designed to assist leaders in various organizations to be able to see how they can be able to communicate effectively with their employees, especially new leaders in the game who are still trying to see how they can, problem solve and manage stress, especially in this day and age whereby we find ourselves most of the time working, visual, and people are not going to offices, and therefore, there's stress as to whether, is my manager quite happy that I'm, working even though I'm at home, or does he think that maybe I'm just loafing around and not adding value? Therefore, it creates that kind of problem-solving capacity and stress management whereby, one, there has to be a regular communication between the leader and the employee to ensure that continuously you are able to, monitor how your employee operates, how he performs, and also then gunning to guide him to ensure that he's able to, improve on whatever that he's doing. The 4 acronyms, STAR, is the situation, and we talk about the task or the thoughts, because whenever, an employee has to face a particular function, he has to apply his mind as to now, how am I going to now deal with this particular situation? As Christa has just alluded to say, maybe there was, a particular function that has to be done, and is given a particular function to say, for this particular period, you need to, achieve 20% return on investment, or you need to recruit 20 more, clients into the company so that we're able to achieve positive revenue, streams into the business. And whenever now that particular function comes, at the end of the month, the employee will be able to now look as to whether I managed to achieve, part of the process and the goals that have been set for me. And therefore, the leader now will be able to now sit down with him to say, it's month end, so how did you deal with that particular function that you were given? Now let's check progress as to how you performed. And the employee will then be able to now share the insights as to how he understood the responsibility and how he applied, his thoughts and how he wanted to carry out the task. And therefore, the responsibility of the coach or the leader is not to provide answers, is not to, allow him to lead the conversation. We all pose a question, and the employee then provides the answers, and you guide and now inquire more about whatever feedback that the employee, provides. Once he has given the view about, the thoughts and the task at hand and how he handled it, then you are able to now ask to say, when you realize that maybe you are not on top of the game, what action did you take to be able to now see that there is improvement in terms of, the responsibility that we're given, and you allow the employee now to be able to give feedback in that particular sense of, performance. And therefore, when you discuss these kind of things, you don't focus on the person, you focus on the performance, of the employee, so that we are able now to gauge as to how, he relates to the function, he relates to the task, and how his thought processes, function towards achieving that particular, task that he had to achieve, to overcome that particular situation that he had to face. And as he provides insights as to the action that he took to address that particular responsibility, then you now start to guide him to say, then what was the results based on the steps that you take and that you took to be able to, achieve the particular deliverables that you were given. And on that particular aspect, then the results will be able to speak for themselves. If the results were not forthcoming and not positive, then you start now telling questions about how does he, rate the feedback and the results and things like that. And it's more important because this allows constructive, engagement between the leader and the employee, whereby you are able to, during that particular conversation, elicit feedback and also able to give constructive feedback through the question and answer that you develop through that particular exercise of now advocating and looking at the results that the employee has given and how then he is able now to say, given the results and how you see them, what do you think you would have done differently, and what do you think you can be able to do differently going forth to ensure that there is that improvement as you see that, you're saying that you are not happy with the results that you have delivered so far. In that particular sense, you allow the employee to take responsibility, for the results that he has shared, and they take the responsibility on how best to improve on going that. And you are able to now note down whatever actions that he's, advocated to take so that he's able to migrate to the next level of higher performance, the second month, and so on. And the beauty of the STAR coaching model is that, it encourages that this kind of discussion should be held privately, not, openly, whereby you start to expose somebody, whether it was a great performance or a bad performance, but you hold this discussion privately so that somebody can now have comfort, and confidence to say, this is not about trying to make me look bad or trying to make me look very good, because some people, as my colleague Christa said, that, certain employees don't want to be the center of attraction. And therefore, by holding this privately and giving your feedback privately and also constructively guiding the process in terms of, the employee working towards a particular game plan, you are able to mold the employee to apply his thought process, and link that thought process to the action and to the results at every given function or responsibility that he is given to. So constructive feedback is very important. That privacy is very important so that the employee can be able to now see that, this is very confidential. And the model encourages a two-way street, whereby you are engaging in a very friendly manner, even though you are addressing very critical issues that are key towards improving the performance of the employee, towards improving the performance of the organization, to ensure that we are able to go to a higher level of performance and be able to see that indeed, even if at the initial level of the engagement, the employee was stressed, thinking that maybe, I'm going to come out of this conversation being the bad boy, then he's able to start gaining confidence along the way, realizing that this is not about me, this is about performance, this is about improving my way of thinking, way of doing things, and way of solving problems as I'm given tasks to perform, within my company. So that's the high level indicator of how useful and how critical the model is as compared to, the other models, because any coach can be able to use this as a starting point so that he's now able to now see how he can be able to migrate from the STAR coaching model to the other models that will be able to now improve, his performance. And as in our introduction, Rasam, you did indicate that, a coach is allowed to come up with new models and his own model of how to engage and empower those that he coaches and those that he mentors. In so doing, you are able to remodel and refine your approach on how to add value in somebody's personal development to be a better leader and a better employee and a better performer in whatever function that he's carried out.
Beautiful. Thank you. You can mute yourself while I'm getting feedback. Once again, welcome to those who join us a little bit later. I've noted some of you. Thank you so much. I hope you are following. This is our monthly coaches learning forum, where we unpack a number of concepts and theories for the couple of weeks. Starting from today, we will be covering various models, and we have started today with the STAR coaching model, and the colleagues, the two coaches, are giving us a deep dive into the finer details of this model. I want us, we have some few minutes before we can take maybe 2 minutes break. I want us to just revisit some of the points that you raised that I also saw them in the course module. I'm intrigued by the idea that both the coach and the coachee allocate various different roles in this partnership. Traditionally, as coaches, we are saying that ours is to facilitate a conversation, and out of that conversations, we will be able, having helped the client identify the goals, then help the client to come up with action steps they need to take, and then they report to us in the next session. But it seems like the STAR coaching model is very particular in saying that both the coach and the coachee, in this case the employee, because this course is earmarked for, is geared at managers who are coaching their employees, with us coaches also helping them. So it looks like the manager himself or herself is part of the project or of the intervention, so much so that he or she must undertake certain tasks. As Christa shared with us, that the manager must make sure that there's engagement taking place, that there is an awareness and actualization for the employee, and ultimately there's action. And then you say that then those of the employee will be the employee's commitment and desire towards change right at the beginning, and then also them understanding their values and beliefs. Is it practical to expect an employee from day one or session one to commit that they are going to undergo change without even being taken through the process? Coaches?
Well, if you look at the STAR model, the employee needs to upfront make a change, decide to make a change, and then also from there on, commit to the coaching process. Otherwise, it doesn't help going through the coaching process.
Will that be a condition that the manager will put forward or will facilitate?
You see, basically, you will have to. I think,
Ramabaka, you can just mute.
If you form a relationship with the employee that he can trust you, and then tell him that this is everything needs to be done up front. Agree on that he needs to. How can I say? He needs to be. He needs to be able to decide that he wants to change and that he will commit to the coaching process.
So that sounds like a contracting of some sort, as we used to in coaching, in a normal coaching, that it's like you sign a contract that you really want to be assisted to make a change. Is that right?
Otherwise, if you don't do that, you can go through the whole coaching process, but it will be futile.
Coach Ramabaka, your input? Thanks, Christa.
Yeah, thanks, Christa. But I think when you start the coaching process, the first meeting will dictate as to whether you are able to see the maturity level and the readiness of the coachee in terms of understanding the role of coaching. Remember, normally when you start a coaching process, sometimes the coachee comes or the employee comes with that, fear factor kind of approach to say, this is not going to be of benefit to me. So part of the coach and especially the manager, the leader in the company, is to make the employee comfortable to realize that we are in this together. I'm not here to be finding fault with you, so that if maybe during the first session of the coaching model you could not find each other 100%, then you can be able to leave some of these as standing items for the follow-up question, so that the employee is given time to think about the importance of what is going through. And once we have expressed the importance that I want you to be the best performer, I want you to go towards achieving the goals that are set within your job description and things like that. Therefore, let's work together. From that particular first meeting, probably the second meeting, the employee will be more relaxed, realizing that my manager, my leader, or my coach, as the companies will also elicit the help of an external coach, is to assist me to be a better, employee, a better performer. Then gradually, you are able now to define the contractual arrangements, whereby then you move towards that particular extent. So it doesn't, sometimes if you realize that during the first meeting you could not agree to disagree, or maybe the employee was confused, allow the second sitting to be able to now define where to from here once the employee is comfortable.
So I like what both of you have shared in terms of the situation. It looks like, as Christa was explaining, that the manager engage, and I think that's the first task of manager that they are saying the manager must actually perform, engage the employee. Am I right, Christa, to say that that engagement becomes more pertinent in the situation level, which is the first S of the acronym, that yes, the manager makes the employee define or describe the situation herself or himself. Am I right?
You're right. Because you will have to engage.
Is it in the explanation or defining of the situation that the manager automatically ends up saying, having defined or described the situation, do you need help? Or something like that?
No, remember first the manager will have to engage with the employee and tell him that all conversations is confidential. And you see, first build a trusting relationship. Once that is done, then the employee will be more willing to change, because it's not an attack on him. It is to help him.
Yeah. So that engagement talks to that. I heard Ramabaka also saying that actually the T, which is the second acronym of the STAR, it can also stand for thoughts if it's not standing for tasks. So is that the thoughts of both the manager and employee, or predominantly the thoughts of the employee, Coach Ramabaka?
It's more the thoughts of the employee. Remember, a task is given to the employee to perform as part of his employment contract. So when now he has to apply his mind to that situation, to getting that, performance in terms of sales, 20% conversions, then he has to be able to apply his mind to say, how am I going to achieve this particular task? How am I going to now deliver on this particular thing? Is so leaning towards the employee than the coach or the manager in that particular regard. But the manager is the guiding angel of the employee, because for him to set that particular target, he knows it's possible, and therefore he becomes the guide of how the employee can be able to achieve that if the employee calls for that particular guidance or inquiry in terms of performance in that particular regard.
Is the Coach Christa, is the commitment the next task of the employee being commitment? Is that almost like a follow-up to put pressure to say on the employee, it's not enough to have a desire to change, but you must demonstrate a commitment. And what is the model saying in terms of that kind of commitment that could convince the manager that now we are getting somewhere?
So with the commitment, he needs to with the commitment, you need to be able or willing to follow through with the coaching. So it's not to say that you as the employee needs to do this and this and this. He will also give his thoughts about what should change, what should happen, what he should do with the change that needs to be brought forward. In that instance,
this is the commitment to the intervention, the coaching process.
Yes. And then when it comes to the values and beliefs, that's where he, gives his ideas with regards to the topic that is the coaching topic.
Before we go on break, because I want us to sit on this, because it must really, I want us to benefit from these coaches. If I visualize the situation where I'm sitting with this employee on a number of sessions and I'm ticking the boxes. The first box, will I be right to say the first box I'll tick is now the employee, because of the trust he has on my process, is really wanting to change. And I tick the box. Then I say, do I know if this employee is going to come back to this coaching session, or is it going to honor all the sessions we agree? I might have to do 2-3 sessions before I get to that, or I may want to ask him to demonstrate to me that he's committed and take his word to be true. And then I tick the box. And then now I'm faced with a situation where now task number 3, how do I know that task number 3 is fulfilled, which is the values and beliefs? I still can't remember how you formulated that. What about values and beliefs?
Okay, with values and beliefs, let me just make it clear, Sam. With regards to the change, that he's willing to change, he has to have the desire to change as well. Give me 1 second. Okay, so his values and his beliefs is basically going to be, for example, what does he think about the coaching options, the methods that is used. So if that is not in line with what both the manager and the employee feels is working, then they can always go back to another option, look at other options to correct, for example, the behavior.
Yeah. So the values, is that being observed or is it being promised in the employee's behavior? His values and beliefs, is that something we observe or is something that we get assurance from him? Or how do we deal with it?
It's better to observe it, to see.
How do I know that the values of this employee and their beliefs are such that we'll get somewhere? Or if there's a gap, how do I facilitate to come to a point where I can now say, look, we are aligned in terms of the beliefs. I know I'm asking a difficult question, but I'm trying to make it practical to say, if I'm a coach, I'm confronted with this. Ramabaka can just because imagine, remember in a coaching session, you're not holding this script, right? And you are not holding this model. It's just in the back of your mind. So I'm trying to say that, and you don't tell the employee that I'm now done with your values and beliefs. You tell yourself that I'm observing these things. Now I'm just trying to say, help us as coaches, that when do you really know that this is no longer an issue in terms of the deliverable? Is it throughout the whole entire course, or we have to achieve it very quickly early in the process, or is something that we work with it until the end of the session? So how do you know as a coach that this thing is there, or it is not just pretending to be having their beliefs or something like that? Yes. Or is it because you are the manager, therefore the history that you have with this employee is also taken into consideration?
If you are the manager, you will be able to have constant observance if it has changed and so on. It's flexible, but also once you decided on a method to go with, or on a once he decided what he wants to change and works on it, there's normally a time frame as well. For example, let's say 6 months or so, 3 months, and so on, which he needs to be. And you can observe that if you are a manager, if you're always in the office, you will be always available to see if the changes are real or if it's not really changed.
Beautiful. Great. We're going to take a short break of 2 minutes, and I see fellow coaches here. Welcome back, coaches. Dear listeners, we are talking to Coach Christa Hendrikz and Coach Ramabaka Tshimole. This is our monthly coaches learning forum. We are discussing the STAR coaching model. This is one of the 10 series sessions that our various coaches are going to be addressing. The whole idea is to deepen the knowledge and understanding of the various coaching models. We have emphasized the fact that no one coach is the same as the other. All of us as coaches have preferences. We have perspectives that we bring onto the coaching, and we can adopt somebody's model and use it as a coaching tool, or ideally, ultimately, when we have developed knowledge, experience, we can actually develop our own coaching model. And as I shared with you, you bring your own perspective, your own style, as long as you follow the fundamentals of coaching and the acceptable concepts and theories, and of course, many other code of conduct that we are expected to follow as coaches. Coming back to you, Coach Christa and Coach Ramabaka, I want us to spend some time on the benefits of the model and shall I say, the disadvantages. They say there are pros and cons in this model. Like any other model, there will always be gaps. And I think it's important to know and understand the limitations of the models we use. And that's why we are emphasizing on the importance of knowing as many models as possible, so that when the situation requires that you change the model, then you are able to do that. Before I give back to you to comment on the benefits and the more, or reflect back on the benefits and more and disadvantages you shared with us, I see a note from Coach Tosi here saying, as an external coach, it may be necessary to also get feedback from other stakeholders like internal clients as additional information provided by the coach's manager. Interesting one. You might reflect on that, coaches.
Yeah, thanks, Rasem, and thanks, Coach Josie, for your comment. Indeed, feedback is very important, and it's always critical that as an external coach, you find avenues through which you can, get feedback as to whether the value add that you bring into your clients, operations is what they, value, and if there are any areas of improvement in terms of how you approach your coaching responsibility. Therefore, it's very important to reflect on that. And just to tap onto some of the benefits of the STAR coaching model is that, one, it allows and strengthens one's problem-solving and stress management capacity. Two, it allows constructive feedback between the employee and the manager. Three, it allows a two-way communication stream, whereby it's not whereby the manager always dictates to the employee, but the employee is given an avenue to be able to express himself given the situation that he has to deal with and the tasks or the thoughts that he had to go through for him to be able to work towards and resolving that particular situation, and the actions that he has to prepare to put in motion to ensure that he delivers and gets the results that he is looking for. So that's very critical, that it allows that communication and empowers the employee more to feel confident to speak to the manager, to speak to the coach, and be able to advocate and brings out his values and beliefs. Because as we are touching on the values and beliefs before we went on to the tea break, or is it a mini break, we're still talking about the values and beliefs which are observed between the employee and the manager. From the time when the manager was interviewing the employee to bring him into the organization, we are able to size up the values and beliefs that attracted you to employ that particular employee into your division, into your portfolio. Therefore, even when now you move into the coaching process, already you have an inkling as to what are the values and the beliefs of the employee. And it's more now to sharpen your understanding intimately on how, the values and beliefs showcase themselves once the employee is working with you accordingly. So those are some of the benefits at high level that the coaching, the STAR coaching model brings. The other benefit is whereby it allows that openness. It allows, that freedom of expression between the employee and the manager, notwithstanding the fact that there has to be respect and mutual respect between that. The other benefit is it encourages the manager to focus on the performance and not the habits and whatever other aspects that personalities that may not be necessary for the performance on the job at hand. So those are some of the key tenets just to, kickstart the discussion around the benefits and the drawbacks of the coaching model itself. Thanks.
Coach Ramabaka, sorry, I think you didn't hear me there. I was saying that what can we do to to mitigate these drawbacks of this model? And then I also asked that you reflect on, is this model only used for solving performance-related problems, or can it be used to develop employees, in other ways, progressively? Coach Ramabaka.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I didn't, because I was getting surprised as to why the silence. Yeah, the module can be used in every avenue of personal development. It's not only for performance management, but because it allows that constructive engagements between the coach and the coachee. Therefore, the coach and the coachee can be able to use it to reflect on where does the employee, see himself. So whether it's an employee or an entrepreneur or a leader in whatever field, you are able to apply this method whereby you encourage that conversation as you build that rapport with your coachee and you start guiding him to get to greater heights in terms of whatever objectives that he has set for himself. So the model is flexible, the model is applicable, and is agile to be used in whatever other environments. Coming to how we can be able to deal with some of the drawbacks. There are quite a number of ways that we can be able to deal with some of the drawbacks, especially as this, conversation takes place privately, whereby it's a conversation between the manager and the employee. Therefore, confidentiality is very critical, giving confidence to the employee that, this is to his benefit. Giving confidence to the employee that this is not designed to bring him down or whatever. Therefore, that confidence building avenue is the power that the coach or the manager has to ensure that he's able to bring the positives out of the drawbacks that may be identified as things that don't give comfort to the employee or to the workings of the model itself.
We have. Okay, sorry. I don't know why you are. I don't know why you are. One line Ramabaka gives me feedback, but I guess the solution is for you to mute yourself after talking. I wanted to follow up on your input, Ramabaka, to say. So we have talked about a manager winning the trust of the employees to participate in the coaching using this model. Are we also making assumptions that the manager is already a seasoned manager with coaching as an expertise in his style of managing? I haven't heard anywhere in the model where they talk about.
Well, as they say that the model is also suitable for new leaders in the game, it shows that the organization, has to also find avenues of having a coaching, program for its managers so that they develop the managers as the managers develop their team members. Because if I'm new as a leader, as a manager in the organization and in the game, and I'm expected to coach, employees whilst I'm also, venting and moving into that particular space, there has to be a dual process whereby the manager is being coached to be a better leader, and the manager is also now given the room to coach the employee for better performance on the job because of the day-to-day requirements, and therefore to improve communication and constructive feedback that has to be given to the employee. So there has to be a two-pronged approach to empower the manager, in another coaching program, whilst we empower, the manager empowers the employees in terms of performance.
Okay, good. Christa, I don't know whether you have any input to make around the benefits and the drawbacks. I see your mic is on, but we don't seem to be hearing you. I don't know whether other colleagues can hear you. Maybe it's only me. Okay, I think there is definitely a connection problem for Christa. So I wanted to look at some of the points in the way of us bringing the your input to closure, and then if there's anyone from the colleagues online to come into the studio to give us their reflection. You touched on the constructive feedback, which is actually emphasized in the model. You also touched on the fact that the model must focus on positivity in terms of the engagement between the manager and the employee. So you said that the manager must hear the employee. And then you said that the feedback must be given privately. I think there was a point there I wanted clarity, which says that whether it's positive or negative, the feedback must be given privately. I thought that when the feedback is given privately and the input is positive, there wouldn't be a problem. But I heard you saying that some people don't want to be on the spotlight. Should we just accept that as such? Because I thought if positive feedback could be motivating other people as well. And that's why this links up with the point that was raised by Coach Tosi, that as an external coach, it may be necessary to also get feedback from other stakeholders like internal clients as additional information provided by the coach's manager. What do you say to those points, and also this giving positive feedback privately, Coach Christa?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Coach Ramabaka. Yes, I wanted to say thank you for your input, Coach Tosi. I do agree with that. If you are not the manager always working with the employee, you won't be able to see it yourself. So as an external coach, you will have to get feedback from other sources as well.
I like the qualification that if you are not the manager working with this particular employee regularly, you might need to rely on other feedback from other stakeholders. And earlier on, Ramabaka also mentioned that the assumptions or implied assumption is that the company is developing the managers to use coaching as a way of managing. So I think that's an acceptable assumption because the course is actually targeting the managers of people, frontline managers. So the module, the notes around the module is silent about that, and I wanted clarity on that. Did you also make that assumptions, Christa?
I did. As they say that managerial coaching is basically guiding an employee to identify his goals and create an action plan. So they can, the plan could be over 6 months, over a year. Yeah. Whereas the manager will always, get feedback on that, follow the structure for that.
Yeah. Actually, it's an obvious point that I was raising, but I think it's just a way of emphasizing that this particular course is meant for us as coaches to facilitate for managers who are expected to use coaching in managing their people. And therefore, the company has already taken policy decision or adopted a strategy that the managerial coaching is going to be introduced in the company, and we are training them to do that, right?
Which is happening more and more, yes.
Yeah. Great stuff. And I was just going through the points through my notes here that I was making when you were presenting so that we can have a similar take home here. There was also a point raised by Ramabaka which says that the manager must, I'm not sure it's Ramabaka or you, but the manager must allow the employee to take full responsibility for the results of this intervention. What about the manager? Isn't that the manager is also going to be measured in terms of how good he is at making employees take responsibility for the results?
Not necessarily, because as I've said, the manager or the coach will have to step back and let the employee give feedback. You have to have the people that you coach, you have to teach them to do and think for self, to use their own initiative and so on. So you actually teach them how to do it. It's more sustainable than doing it for them, because then they get dependent. You see.
Okay.
So
Coach
it's actually
Ramabaka,
their responsibility.
yeah, thanks, Christa. Coach Ramabaka, as I'm going through the notes, the next point is quite interesting as well. The emphasis on regular feedback, either daily, weekly, or monthly. It's almost like feedback is one key component of this model. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Feedback is very critical. Because without feedback, remember, it's about performance improvement. It's about giving confidence to the employee to do his best to contribute to the goals of the organization. So giving that constant feedback, it will help the employee to find areas of improvement and also, identify strengths that he can now, turn into, center of excellence, whereby then they can propel him to now, work on the areas of improvement. By the end of maybe the third month or fourth month, he can be a star performer as long as his values and beliefs and his, focus on ensuring that he gets to do what makes him look good is at the heart of his performance and his heart.
Beautiful. You can mute. I'm just trying again to consolidate these features of this model so that we walk away with a common understanding. So I think the issue of trust came loud and clear at the beginning, that the manager's first objective of engagement is to get trust of the employee so that the employee can be comfortable to share openly on business and personal issues. It sounds like that is fundamental. Is emphasized in this model when getting trust. So does it suggest that if we're struggling to gain that trust between the manager and the employee, we have a second problem before even we can tackle the main problem? Coach Christa?
Apologies, Sam. Can you just...
I was saying that the reason why I'm going through these points, these are the notes I was making as you were sharing your notes with us, your input. And I'm saying that it sounded like the first step in the engagement of the employee by the manager is to winning trust. Now, my question is, so does it mean that if we don't have trust, then we have a second problem before we can even tackle the main first problem in the coaching relationship between the manager and the employee?
I would say so, yes, because if you don't have trust, the employee won't open up to you with any personal or professional matters, which could be the cause of the original problem, actually. So if he trusts you, he can speak to you about those matters, and then you can get to the other problem.
Great. So that's we can tick that as one key feature of this model is trust in the engagement phase, step or action of the manager. The next point is this both of you emphasize this, and you say that the unique feature of this model, style coaching model, is that both the coach and the manager have got clearly set roles. And you mentioned that the employee has to have a desire to change, commitment to the process, and then, of course, the values and beliefs. Whereas the manager has to engage with the employee to gain the trust and also make sure that the employee gains awareness and you said awareness and actualization. And then the last one being that of the values and the beliefs. So can we tick this as another key feature, and that in this model, as we distinguish it from the others, that it clearly says these roles. And I guess it's also another point that they raise in terms of a disadvantage, that in that sense, then it's inflexible. Will you agree?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, and then Ramabaka brought something that I didn't see in the notes, but I think it's profound when he says that you can come in, Ramabaka. When you say that the key feature of this model is that it encourages two-way stream or two-way communication in a friendly manner. Can we agree that is implied in the notes, and we can take it as a distinguishing feature of this model from the others, Coach Ramabaka?
Yes, that is implied, that is captured because it improves that two-way communication approach. Hello?
Thank you so much. We are nearing the end. I want, before you check out, I want again to check if there are no input from the fellow coaches. There is a question coming from Coach Rabula. He needs inputs from you, coaches. How do we implement STAR coaching model in the entrepreneurial space? How do you think we could implement it? Because I guess that's a new question. Coach Ramabaka, how could we implement it in an entrepreneurial environment?
Well, I mean, as part of entrepreneurial development, and you set up your coaching session either through an incubation program or through, entrepreneurs advancing directly the coaches, you can be able to find, remember, every entrepreneur has got a situation that he has to deal with, a goal that he has to drive, and an agenda that he wants to see it coming live into whatever that he formulated as part of his entrepreneurial journey. Therefore, you are able now to say to the entrepreneur, what situation, what is it that you want to drive? And for you to get to that, what tasks or what thoughts are going through your mind, and what tasks, have you got to carry out for you to achieve that particular goal that you have set for yourself. And from there on, then you are able to now define the action, the implementation action, that can be put forth to ensure that there's more traction to derive value over a 3 months, 6 months, 12 months trajectory of where the entrepreneur sees himself. And thirdly, the results that will be able to come from there. If it's a situation that has already passed, then he will be able to advocate as to what results he has experienced. If it's more a projection, then he'll be able to say, these are the results that I'm expecting from my 12 months, 3 months, 6 months plan that I've set. So the model is very flexible that you can be able to apply to an entrepreneur based on the situation, the goal, and the objective that he has set for himself.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so you can mute Ramabaka. I'm going to give you the opportunity to check out as we're nearing the end. But as you check out, give us your own views on the way forward. Read this model in your space, because you were assigned to research this model, not to say that this is the model that you are going to adopt for your own coaching in the future. But we do hope that we might have interested you and made you a specialist on the STAR coaching model. If we have done so, then we have done very well, and we hope you can grow and flourish from having researched and understood this model and we can regard you among our community as somebody we can come to when we want to learn more on the model. But as you check in, just share with us, as you check out the coaches, share with us what has been confirmed for you by this exercise that you did from the time you researched it and to today. What has been confirmed for you? And then secondly, any aha moments that you might have picked up during this conversation, during your research, and what are the new learnings from today's session, and the new learnings and take home, and if there's any change on your side, what will you change, or what new practices will you bring in? New practices or behavior. I can repeat what was confirmed, the aha moment, new learnings, take home, new practices or new behaviors as a coach. Let's start with you, Coach Ramabaka. Let's start with you, Coach Ramabaka.
Thanks, Coach Sam. What has been confirmed? Well, what has been confirmed is that the model is very flexible, is very productive in terms of is able to allow two-way communication and allows constructive feedback between the coach and the coachee. And the key of this is being able to observe and internalize the values and beliefs that can be able to make the coachee or the employee a star performer towards whatever that is put before him. And that's also my aha moment, whereby then when you look as to various options and your introductory notes, Coach Sam, in terms of the aha moment is also the fact that, every coach has an opportunity to deploy whatever method that he can deploy as long as he abides by the standards and the ethos of coaching methodology and the coaching system. And the third one, you said the third one is?
New learnings.
Well, new learnings is that one has to try to, get more insights about the model. The model is very powerful and it's not a threatening model as long as there is now that trust and confidence between the coach and the employee. So it's very critical that the coach brings out the confidence and the trust so that he earns that from the coachee or the employee, so that he's able now to drive the process of getting the best out of the employee and guiding the process for the employee or the coachee to do the best that he can.
Any take home?
My take home is the star coaching model is a winner. The interactive nature of our platform, Podbean, is very empowering, whereby you are able to reach a larger audience so that you are able to impart the little knowledge that we have learned as to make a difference in terms of growing the leadership capacity that is required within our society.
Great. And what will you do different?
Well, I will improve on focusing on performance and not focused on the behaviors and other aspects that have got nothing to do with the job at hand or whatever objectives that we have to drive. And, being a structured coach in terms of following the guidelines and the ethos that are said around in terms of even the STAR model. I mean, there are 4 steps, the situation, the thoughts, the action, and results. Therefore, once you have a consistent model that you apply in terms of steps and approach, you are able to gain more insights and more traction in terms of whatever that you need to achieve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You may mute.
You may mute.
Yeah.
Coach Christa, confirmation, aha moments, new learnings, take home. What will you change?
Okay, confirmation is trust, goal setting. It's flexible. It's clear structure. Aha moments. What I saw there is that it's a unique model, but you can use it on different platforms. For example, team building, coaching, with interviews, and so on. The others is take home is basically the same as my aha moment. It's a model, a method that you can use on many platforms. It's not only a specific one. And you have to do more research. If you do more research, you will also find that there's even more platforms that you can use it on. And then what's the other ones? New learnings.
What are you going to do different going forward?
With regards to the model?
Yeah, based on what you have learned today, is there anything you want to change in your coaching practice, in your learning of coaching as a result of today's session?
Not just yet, because I'm still doing research on more of this. It's very interesting.
Wow, interesting. We want to hear more of that. Thank you so much. Great stuff. Great stuff. Some few announcements. Thank you very much, Coach Christa and Coach Ramabaka, for your checking out. We will be finishing just now. Some few announcements. If you are in the Emperor's Palace area, you are in Gauteng or Ekurhuleni in particular, there is Employee Assistance Program Conference Edge Week, EAPA Edge Week at Emperor's Palace. And we have International Coaching Federation South Africa chapter desk. It started today. It's finishing on Thursday. Most of us, the ICF coaches, were ambassadors there every day. My term is coming on Thursday, but you can go there tomorrow. Other coaches are there. I will be doing my turn the whole day on Thursday at Emperor's Palace. And there is an ICF desk there. I'm not sure whether there's a fee to join, but other than that, I think you can follow the ICF South Africa page, LinkedIn page. They are posting a lot of pictures from that event. We are trying to position ICF in South Africa. For anyone who is a coach or you wanting to become a coach, follow the LinkedIn page of ICF South Africa. You will know what's going on there. The other announcement is to inform you that the next session is on the 13th of September, similar to this one. That will be session number 2, and we will be looking at change coaching model, and our guest will be Coach Tosi Pandle, who is also with us here today. Coach Tosi, we're looking forward to your session. At least now you know the process and how we go about it, so you will be much more prepared. Coach Ramabaka and Coach Christa have laid the foundation for you. We look forward to hosting you on the 13th. Same time, same platform, so don't miss it. Thank you so much. I think we need to give our coaches a round of our applause. They've really done very well indeed. Well done, Coach Ramabaka, Coach Christa. It's not that complicated. You've done very well. Thank you for your time and all the research. That was Coaches Learning Forum brought to you by COMETSA Radio Podcast Radio Live on COMETSA Podcast Networking, a member of COMETSA Global Online Channels. We look forward to see you on the 13th. Come ready, be prepared. It's a learning on a continuous basis. And by the way, you can become part of our learning on the online by becoming a member. Go to COMETSAClub.africa and join. The mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. These shows are based on our concept of the idea. We inform and entertain. We develop and educate. We empower and support. We associate and network. That is the idea. My name is Tsima. I was your moderator and will meet you on the 13th of September. Goodbye and take care.